Week 14 of the fantasy football season, and his top 12 kickers I'm ranking this week. The first guy, Daniel Carlson of the Vegas Raiders. So this week here, a good matchup with the Los Angeles Rams. Carlson, we know, has been one of the better kickers over the last two seasons in fantasy football. And this week here, it's a good matchup, like I said, indoor game, which obviously always is a plus. A guy who's had a big boot, and he was on a 40-plus field goal in a row made without missing. Obviously, that was broken a couple weeks ago, but this week here, I think the Raiders can have their way in this one. Even though I'm not going to say this Ram defense is going to lay down, but I think Carlson could hit double-digit fantasy points this week, and I got him at one. Number two, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. So Tucker last week had a decent ball game, and right now, I think this week here, he could have another good one. Pittsburgh Steelers team here is Justin Tucker, where he's obviously had success. He's still one of the best kickers of all time, even though some weeks he's not putting up the fantasy points each and every week in the top 5, whatever. But Justin Tucker's a guy, anywhere, anytime, he could get you 10, 15 fantasy points. And this week at Pittsburgh, in a grinded out type of matchup here, where mid-teens, low 20s, I think this ball game will be at. I got him at number 2. Number 3, Evan McPherson of the Cincinnati Bengals. So the last 3 weeks, ever since the bye week has ended, Evan McPherson, he's been on a tear and back to putting up the stats he was doing last season in his rookie year, kicking the football for this Bengal team. So this week here versus the Cleveland Brown defense that doesn't stop anyone, besides last week versus the Houston Texans that can't get out of their own way turning the football over. I think Evan McPherson once again has a great performance. This Bengal team's rolling. Jamar Chase back in the mix. More red zone, obviously, trips, I think, for this Cincinnati Bengal team. And like I said, McPherson's got a big boot. He's a guy that can kick from 50, 55 yards in his sleep. And this week here, I got him at 3. Number 4, Tyler Bass of the Buffalo Bills. So Bass, he's been on a tear as well of late here. And this Bill team, a couple drives, they're not finishing where you think they should be finishing in the end zone. And this week here versus a New York Jet team that bends but don't breaks for the most part on defense, where they've held teams down to field goals more times than not instead of punching it in the end zone. I think Tyler Bass back home in Buffalo could have a good ball game. And it plays into the script as well of this game, where I think the Jets still hang in there a little bit early in the game, holding them to field goals. And then late third, fourth quarter, I think the Bills start to pull away in this game. But I think Bass could get 2 or 3 opportunities. And plus, he's on a high-powered offense. So I got him at 4. Number 5, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Butker, it's been an up-and-down season for him. Obviously missed multiple weeks early in the year with injury. Then he came back. He was missing some easy chip shots and 30, 40-yarders. And then the last couple weeks, he had 14 each. And then last week, he didn't do much with only a few opportunities, including missing a big one to tie the ball game late at the Cincinnati Bengals. But this week here at Denver, great kicking atmosphere, obviously. That ball really carries a mile high. And I think this Chief team's going to have their way with this Bronco defense and be in the red zone early and often. Number 6, Greg the Leg Zuerlein of the New York Jets. It's been a great bounce-back season, no doubt about it here for Greg the Leg, where he's going to get opportunities with this Jet team. And this Jet team, they don't finish many drives in the end zone. We saw it last week where they had 3 or 4 opportunities to just punch one in, and they probably would have won that ball game in Minnesota. But Greg the Leg last week, 19 fantasy points, where he had 5 field goals in that ball game for this New York Jet team. So this week at Buffalo, we could see a little bit more of the same, where this Buffalo defense really could lock you down within the red zone and not make it a good day for the Jets offense besides the kicker. So I think Zuerlein has a decent chance once again of hitting double digits. And I got him at 6. Number 7, Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks. So this Seahawk offense is a high-powered offense this season, scoring anywhere from the mid-20s to low 30s, it seems like, each and every week. And Jason Myers, he's had double-digit fantasy games this season. So this week here versus the Panthers, I think Seattle could get in the range a little bit more this week here. And yes, it might be a lot of extra points, but also I could see him pile on 2 or 3 field goals in this one with 3 or 4 extra points. So Jason Myers, he's been an accurate kicker, one of his best seasons of his NFL career. And this week here in a good matchup versus a Panther defense that don't really stop anyone, I got him at 7. Number 8, Robbie Gould of the San Francisco 49ers. So Robbie Gould, he's having a solid season. Last week, a monster fantasy game with 15-plus fantasy points at the kicking position. And now I think we're going to see more field goal opportunities here for Robbie Gould and the San Francisco 49er offense, especially with Jimmy G out, where they're not going to punch in a lot of those drives with Brock Purdy at quarterback and maybe even be a little more conservative down there. We're not turning it over in the red zone. So I think this week here in a grinded out type of matchup with Tampa Bay, where they're still a solid defense. I think Gold have another good ball game, and I got him at 8. Number 9, Nick Folk of the New England Patriots. And Nick Folk, he's having a good season. I know he's had a couple hiccups here and there, but he's a guy that could go off any week for 15-plus fantasy points. And we saw it a few weeks ago, back-to-back weeks with 21 and 17. So this week here, Monday Night Football, indoor game in Arizona, which obviously is always a plus. Then kicking at Gillette Stadium where the wind blows and it's freezing temperatures in December. So this week here, I think the Patriots, they're going to give them a few field goal opportunities. This Arizona defense really isn't that good. I know they could get in position and have a good game. Number 10, Ryan Succop of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Succop, it's been an up and down season here for him. But this Tampa Bay offense has been inconsistent, but we've seen Succop have those good double-digit games here and there this season. So right now, this week, he had a ball game at San Francisco where they're a team that's very tough in the red zone, and they don't give up a lot of touchdowns, and plus this Buck team's struggling for the most part on offense. I think Ryan Succop's going to get a few opportunities in this ball game, and I think anywhere from 8 to 10 fantasy points is definitely a possibility. And I got him at 10. Number 11, Matthew Wright of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the last 3 weeks here, he's been one of the best kickers in fantasy football in terms of points, is Matthew Wright. And this Steeler team, they just don't know what a touchdown is pretty much. It's a lot of settling for field goals and pretty much only scoring 1 touchdown per week, with the rest being field goals, with that offense just not punching it in, even though I think they have decent weapons with Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Freiermuth, and Najee Harris. But anyway, Matthew Wright, he was a hot pickup off the wire this week here. And in a grinded-out division ball game versus the Baltimore Ravens, I could see him and Tucker both have good ball games, obviously. And I got him at 11. And the 12th and final kicker I'm ranking this week's Graham Gano of the New York Giants. So in a pivotal ball game here for the Giants, after last week ending in a tie with the Washington Commanders, they got the Philadelphia Eagles coming up in this one. And we know this Eagle defense, they're solid, and they don't give up a lot of touchdowns. So this week here, the Giants, they're going to need points early and often to stay afloat in this ball game versus their NFC East division rival in the Eagles. And I think Graham Gano in this one will have a few opportunities, and they might even trot him out there for some deep balls just to get points on the board, because you got to get points pretty much almost every drive if you want to keep up with this Eagle offense. I got Gano at number 12, so that's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking here for Week 14 of the fantasy football season.